So today I'm tying up another wet fly from Ray Bergman's book, Trout. This fly is called the Langiwin, and it is a highly likely occurrence that I'm probably mispronouncing. It's spelled Langewin, so I pronounce it Langiwin. But when I did a little bit of research on this, at least not this fly, but similar word with pronunciation was a French term. And I'm not even going to try pronounce the way I heard it pronounced, but that's what I'm calling this, is the Langiwin. And it's an interesting little fly. It's very similar to a yellow Sally. It's basically all yellow with the black rib. Has some very distinct markings on it and everything. It's a great little fly to practice your matched tails and matched wings on. So that's the Langiwin, if I got it right. I'll get started tying. We'll start the Langiwin with my hook on the vise. This is a Mustad 33.99 and a size 6. I'm going to go ahead and debarb the hook. The thread, I'm going to start out with a white Danville 70 denier. Put down a nice white base so that it doesn't darken up the yellow floss body on this fly. Attach my thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook. I'm going to wrap down to just past the point of the hook. That's where we're tying in the tail. Tail for the Langiwin is just some yellow hackle, but it is a matched winged hackle. So I've got some Goose here that I'm going to use. I've got two slips that I've cut out. I've got my left and my right. I'll match those up. You want those about 4 to 5 barbs in width. You want to make certain your tips are matched up. Once you get your tips all matched up, you're going to tie those in. I like to tie mine in a little bit long, so it's the shank length plus about the eye. And remember, you're forward of the end of the body, so you're going to tie it in just a little bit longer. And then we're going to be wrapping down towards the end of the body, maybe about 5 or 6 turns, and that gives us a nice tail that's about a shank length in the eye of the hook in length. I'm going to trim this back to the length of the body. I'm going to tie in my rib, and I'm just going to leave these two, they kind of zipped up together, the tail. I'm just going to leave them together for right now. The rib is just a black floss. I'm using a Danville 4-strand Rayon in black, but I'm only using 2 of the strands. You don't want the rib to be too thick on this. I'm going to tie this in, pull the black down so that it is the length of the body. 1 wrap to secure that in, and then I'm going to tie in the body. The body is a yellow floss. I'm using a Danville 4-strand Rayon in yellow. This I will use all 4 strands. This is a pretty straightforward fly. It very much reminds me of the yellow Sally. Just a nice bright fly. Attach the yellow floss, pull that back down the length of the body. Start to wrap forward. Get a little bit of wax on my thread. Helps just to collect all the materials, and your thread doesn't slide around on the floss or anything. Nice touching turns, collecting all the material down to the hook shank. Take your time with this. Once we have that in, right the length of the body, I'll apply my yellow floss for the body and then the black rib. Anchoring in that rib, there's two things you'll probably notice. One, as I'm wrapping that rib in, I'm giving it a twist. On my end, I'm giving it a nice clockwise twist each time it comes around, so that it's a nice round cord presentation. It doesn't flat out, or I should say flatten out. It's just a nice ribbing. The other is that a couple of times in there, I reached in and pinched the body and kind of pulled it, torqued it back my way. Sometimes I find when I'm wrapping in the underbody and then the floss and the rib, it tends to pull all the materials over away from me, and my tail will get kind of canted out of the way. Now you can't really tell with it kind of zipped up together here, but I'll show you. You split those apart. And I think when this fishes, it pretty much is kind of together and then falling apart on its own. But when you have these apart like this, it's more pronounced if they happen to be pulled over to one side just a little bit. So I was just simply, you still have some leverage. You can twist those and get them back in position. Now, with all that secured, I'm going to change over to my black thread to finish the fly. I'm using a black Danville 6/0. Again, I'm going to wax the thread here. I just want to have a little bit more grip on some of these materials. I have two components left to tie in here, and that is the throat and then the resulting wing. The throat is just some yellow hackle, and I'm using some yellow Shalappen for the throat. So I've got my Shalappen all selected. I'm going to tie that in underneath. I want tips of that to go back just into the throat space, so a little past the barb. Excuse me, a little bit past the point of the hook. This gives you a nice fanned out throat. That tied in, I'm just going to clean this space up just a little bit. And then tie in my wing right up on top. The wing also is going to be made out of a matched goose. And I've got a left and a right here. I'll take my right side right here, and that's, if you're looking straight down at the hook this way, this is the right side and this is the left side. I'll now take the left side that I've got cut here. I'll lay that down on top and match that up. I can peel that away, and I want my wings to be, a lot of people will measure those to be a gap, the hook gap in width. I think that's a little bit wide, but I do want to see if two things. I got my tips all nice and even, and if I have one that's a little wider, and I do, the right side just a little bit wider than the left. So if I match up the tips and that top piece right there, then I can peel out, say, 3 or 4 barbs at the bottom. That's going to give me a wing that has the width I'm looking for, like this, which is maybe about 2/3 the hook gap. Still have one a little bit longer here, wider I should say. Take out a little bit more on the right side. There you go. Now I got the tips even, so my length is going to be halfway down the tail. I want to anchor those down with my thumb and middle finger. Doing a pinch and loop, I'll roll my fingers together to brace that. and use the thread to pull it right down to the hook shank. A few more wraps to secure it, and we'll take a look at our wing and see how it looks. And that's pretty darn good. This one is a little bit, it's come down over on the side of the body and it's covering it just a little bit, but not bad. If it only comes down about halfway, I'm good with that, but you don't want it coming all the way down and obscuring the side of the body. So with that, I will cut away the excess. Now you'll notice it's moving around a little bit. Apparently I did not get that really secured down there. So I'm going to come back here and wrap this in one more time. Keep in mind, you can still do these things since I haven't cut the excess off yet. Might be a little bit short too. So I'm going to slide this back just a little bit and retie that in. Now I grabbed part of the throat. Keeping my thread tension in place, I'm going to wrap a few times back. Now I think I have it much more secure. And I got rid of a little bit of that overlap on that side. Wing probably is just a little bit short. I'm going to go with that one. So we'll trim away the excess. Now I'll bring my thread down to behind the eye of the hook, working my thread backwards. You always want to start your heads at behind the eye of the hook and work backwards. Otherwise, if you try to tie that in moving forward, your thread will slip down forward. This way you get a nice shaped head. Covers up all those butt ends and doesn't get too bulky. And that's all you really want. Now I'm going to put some black lacquer on this in a minute, so some of those yellow materials, if they were to show through underneath, wouldn't be the end of the world because the black lacquer is going to cover that up. A couple coats of black lacquer. Flattening my thread. I'll put in my whip finish. Trim away my thread. And our Langiwin is finished. We'll put some head cement on this. Let that soak on down in there. You'll notice some of that got wicked up by the wing, and that's fine because this fly-tied head cement doesn't stain or anything, doesn't leave a residue. Might stiffen up the base of those wings a little bit, but that happens sometimes. So there is the Langiwin, if I pronounced that correctly. Fun and interesting fly with the floss rib on that. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching today. Thank you for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned a new pattern, at least a tip or trick here and there. If you'd like to help Dress Irons, you can like, comment, share, subscribe, all those wonderful things for the video. You can also head out to dressedirons.com where you can buy flies, tools, stickers, and merch, or you can join a growing community over on Locals at the Dressed Irons Fly Tying Guild. You can also donate to Dressed Irons if you want through the link at the bottom of the description. I thank everybody for their ongoing support, as it really does help the creation of these videos. But what's important is to remember, only fly tying. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong.